Hey and welcome everybody.
Hi.
This is Michael's guest tonight,
I'm-
EsterDaniel.
Yes, that's me. And Daniel is not my last name. It's
Oh.
EsterDaniel is one name. And if
Yeah.
you want my last name, it's Ytterbrink. Yes. So that's me.
Yeah. We have been around in the business for some time together.
Yes.
It's like 12 years now, I think. First time we met.
Something
at-
like that. At work.
Yeah.
And then you got fired. And I stuck around anyway. And you started a company. And I mentored you.
You helped me start for Café back in the days. Yeah. This is the 10th year of for Café.
Yes. So then, yes, we must have been like 12 years. Yes.
The name came up at your kitchen table.
Yeah. I like words.
Yeah.
Playing with words is fun.
So, I would like to say cheers first.
Cheers.
Normally we share a bottle of wine, but in this case, Esther is not really fond of wine.
I like wine, but not
Today.
today. It's not a wine day. It's not a wine day. It's
Okay.
a beer day. A non-alcoholic beer day.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't believe in that, but okay. Anyway, cheers.
I made up this really bad word game today.
Okay.
So since my name is EsterDaniel, and Ester is a combination of alcohol and acid in chemistry. I don't really need alcohol. I just have to become less sour.
You're just crazy anyway, so is that so?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm crazy.
I think you're crazy in a good way, actually.
Okay. We had a
So-
really hard time figuring out what to talk about here.
What?
The topic.
The topic?
We've argued about that for half an hour or something. Or not
Yeah,
argued,
that's
but
right. But I think we will. You will find out the topic.
yeah, it will be the video and audio will be properly titled. So when you watch this, you know more about this conversation than we do right now. That's nice, right?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah,
Yeah.
Anyway, or you will never see this video. Yeah.
That could also be true. Or just parts. The magic of editing. The magic of someone else editing. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, it's really nice to have you here.
Thank
We've been
you.
talking about this for months now,
Yes,
and finally,
literally. Since
Yeah.
before Christmas, at least.
yeah.
And my office is not far away. It was a 30 minutes walk.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Let's walk, please.
You need to keep your body in shape.
I need the Pokemons I can collect on the way.
Ah, okay. The marketing is not allowed here at on the
Okay.
podcast.
No, I need to play.
I don't think it is. That was marketing. So anyway.
No, I need to do some casual gaming. Yeah.
It's good. But you have been techie a very long time.
Yeah, I've been an Apple user since 1989. That was when the first proof of me using a computer is.
So you're an early adopter in many different ways.
I wrote a story, and
Yeah.
it was printed on my dad's matrix printer. But then nobody told me that you can write software, like how that it was just like text. I didn't even program my first calculator, those you had
Yeah.
when you did sciencey stuff before smartphones. So I started my master in engineering, thinking that I was going to study physics, or
Yep.
I did study physics, but then I had my first software engineering course, or Java 101, and it was awesome, which says a lot because it was still Java. So, and I was thrilled. It was an epiphany. I can write things in a text file and make it run on my computer, do things.
Like Hello World.
Hello World, we had a lot of crawling tortoises.
A little bit more complicated stuff then.
Yeah, but I quite soon figured out that I can use it to make my life easier as well. And I think that's what it's about, software. We should make the life easier for ourselves and for others. And we have a lot of challenges ahead, right?
Yeah.
There's the environment thing. And I also think that we can be kinder to each other and to ourselves by using software. I just recently learned how to use my smartphone, to do like short action snippets.
Okay.
So now when I turn off my alarm in the morning, it turns off the lights over my bed. So the lights go on before I wake up slowly. Mm. And then when I'm out of bed, provenly out of bed, and turn off my alarm, it turns off the bed light so that my partner, who is still sleeping, won't be awakened.
Oh.
And it also like opens my shopping list when it senses that I'm close to the supermarket.
Yep. Okay.
And it's not huge, but it's fun.
Yep.
And I think if software would always work well and we wouldn't have to be afraid of hackers or anything like that, it would be a game changer. Like, again,
Yep.
Software has already changed a lot, but if we could trust it and, yeah, in many ways, it's the utopia.
Has it always been like that for you in your life, that you have been looking on technology in that perspective?
Yeah, I think that part of it is because the same as I'm visually impaired, my dad is. So the first computer we had was assistive technology for him.
Yeah.
And I wrote my master thesis on assistive technology. So I looked at open source licenses and assistive technology for visually impaired and people with dyslexia, and questioned why publicly funded assistive technology wasn't also open source, and looked into the various reasons why that is. So I think it's, I have this search for always optimizing things.
Yeah.
And half of it is making things easier, and half of it is making the boring things more fun. If I can add a step of making things easier, it will take out some of the boredom of the repetitive tasks. One of the first scripts that I wrote that I used for myself was, I had talking books, and they were played on a special device that you got sent with like big colorful buttons for old people.
Yeah.
And for students, where you put a CD. But the CD could also be put into your computer, but then all the MP3 files were like letter number combinations, because they were supposed to be parsed by the XML parser.
Okay. Yeah.
With the corresponding XML files. So then I wrote an Apple script that parsed the XML and figured out what the actual title for each of the MP3 files were, and imported it to iTunes with the correct title, so that I could have my school books, all the MP3 files for my school books with the actual headers of the chapters that they contained.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because then there were no free and open source Daisy player for Mac or Linux. Me and my brother wrote one as a project. We got funding from a consultancy company in Malmö.
Yeah, cool.
So then there was a proper player and everyone was free to use, or proper. There was a player that everyone was free to use. Yeah, it worked. But before that, I could script it. And it took some while before, and one time accidentally, someone got to my computer and changed all the name, ran the script by accident, and changed all my music to one track in my textbook. So it wasn't foolproof. That wasn't reversible. One of the things that I learned later in my software career is that mistakes should be cheap.
That was an expensive mistake.
That was an expensive mistake. I lost all the meta information of all my 40 gigabytes of MP3 music on my computer.
You can laugh about it now,
Yes.
but not back in the day.
No, I think I had a backup somewhere that I could restore some of it. But yeah, no, not a good thing.
Yeah, but now all music is on Spotify, so.
Mm-hmm. Or yeah. What about no commercial rule?
Okay, sorry.
Now all the music is digitalized on someone else's computer.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, using software to make your life easier. Today I've been trying to figure out how to lint my blog tool better.
Yep.
What's
your blog named?
Chocolate Driven Development. As
Is
my
that a
company.
thing?
Chocolate Driven Development. Yes.
It is a thing. Oh my!
Yeah.
Something I missed here. So yeah.
Because chocolate has 2 core properties for me.
Okay.
It's chemistry. It
Yep.
contains a lot of smaller stuff like caffeine and all of those things that do things to your brain, and then major components like sugar that also do things to your brain. So when you eat chocolate, you get neurologically affected in mostly good ways, I think.
Sure.
So eating chocolate changes us.
So it's a nice drug.
It's, yeah, something like that. But it's also a social thing. So you give chocolate to someone you like.
Yeah.
You bring chocolate to someone when you get invited for dinner. You bring a lot of chocolate when you're consultant at...
Or I forgot to bring it at the podcast. The
Yeah.
chocolate. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, chocolate? Anyway, yeah, so you can comfort someone by offering chocolate.
Yep.
If it's hot chocolate in a cup, it also affects our bonding neurology. This with people have we think that being warm is also being socially connected, because a long time ago cuddling was the best or least expensive way to be warm. So if we maintain good social relationships, it will be less expensive for us to keep our temperature at a comfortable level. And a lot of things that we do now relates to our historical relationship to keeping our body temperature.
But isn't coffee more related to software development than chocolate?
Yeah, but it lacks this comforting part. I mean, coffee keeps you productive, okay, but in a quite harsh way. It contains more caffeine than chocolate, for example. And what caffeine does to your brain is making it not able to sense adenosine,
Yep.
a component that's broken down when your brain consumes energy. So it actually blocks your ability to sense that you're getting tired. And I think that in software development, we should have more feedback cycles and not less feedback cycles.
Yeah.
So yeah, chocolate-driven development is about acknowledging those 2 parts of we're meat bags full of chemicals. Our emotions are also chemical.
Yep.
But we're collaborating meat bags of chemicals. So that's the 2 aspects of chocolate. So I want us to write software acknowledging this. And I think we miss a lot. of it. Group intelligence, for example, is super interesting. Do you know about it?
Nope.
You know about IQ tests, right?
Yeah.
Someone invented a way where they think that they can, like, find people who are generally more intelligent than others, or like grade people. So you have tasks that you perform, and
But
then
you just test one thing, so.
no.
IQ test, isn't it just testing your logical ability to see patterns?
If you do a WISE test, it's also language and general knowledge, and memory and mathematics.
Right.
But anyway, it's this idea that there is a general intelligence
Yep.
that can be measured, and that is like consistent in some way. So a group of researchers, I think it's Woolley, who led them, they decided to try to figure out a way to do this, but for a group. So they designed experiments to figure out the group intelligence in the same way that we have individual intelligence.
Yeah.
And they found two things that are significant for an intelligent group
Okay.
over different of exercises. Two things mattered.
Okay. Which one?
Being able to read other people's emotions.
Yep.
And taking turns speaking.
Right. So no narcissist in the group.
No. And it didn't really matter how intelligent each individual was on the individual intelligence scale. It was the collaboration.
Yeah.
And the sensing of others' reactions to things that were important. And we write software as a group, but we still want to hire brilliant people instead of sensitive and empathic people, nice people.
Yeah, but for instance, a person who is extremely introvert, like having autism or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't take any space at all in the group. How would you? So shouldn't you benefit the different type of people in different situations or different environment for depending on who you are?
I don't think that your neurovariance or if you have norm-breaking neurovariances matter here, because you can be super empathic and have autism. You can be really talkative and have autism. So yeah, I don't really think it's not that kind of thing.
Right.
It's more the being able to function in a group, and that can be taught to anyone, and regardless of our brain structure, we can miss it. I would say that, at least for me, being extroverted with ADHD, I think is a bigger challenge, because
It takes too much space.
sometimes, yes.
Right. But you're aware about it, so...
Yeah, and there are tools. One of the reasons that I love ensemble programming,
Yeah.
also known as mob programming, is that I think that it fosters these two things. So, at least if you end each of them with a retrospective.
Yeah.
So, because you work on a timer, right? So, you have 3 minutes of talking, and then you listen. And then you listen intently when you're the one typing, and then you have 3 minutes of talking. And then it's hard to know if you talk too much. People have measured a classroom, for example. So if men and women get equal talking time, both men and women will think that the women talked more than the men.
Yeah, but this is a classic one.
Yeah. So actually talking by the timer I think, can also calibrate us on how much is equally. So yeah.
But some people have the ability to say loads of things in like just a few sentences. Other people need more time to be able to express the same thing.
Yeah.
So to say the same thing for someone, it just take like 10 seconds. For another person, maybe it take like 3 minutes. But actually, the result is actually the same because they are saying the same thing. That just the ability of communication. That's also which varies from person to person.
I'm not sure it's the ability of communication. I think that we think in different ways. So some people actually think by talking.
Yeah.
Or our body does a lot of thinking for us. There's research showing that hand waving, actually, you can see in the hands the ideas before they come out of the mouth.
Yeah.
So not being able to move your hands will actually limit your ability to think. And if you need to think by talking, I'm learning about liberating structures. Have you heard about that?
Nope. There are loads of things I haven't heard about. So I'm just living under a stone somewhere. Yeah.
Because I'm the one driving the conversation, right? So I'm the one knowing about things because I can pick the topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally. Yeah.
So you probably, if you...
I'm just here because of my looks. So that's it. And you too. No. You're here because of your brilliance.
You're the host. That's a different role.
Okay.
So,
right.
Anyway, liberating structures is like a set of exercises that you can use not to have to moderate a conversation. So if you, for example, have a group of 40 people and you want their thoughts on something, you can have a brainstorming session. And if you're unlucky, there's one person who thinks by talking, and that person will take most of the time.
Yeah.
If you use a liberating structure, for example, you can pick one where everyone first writes things down on their own, and then they present it to someone else and listens to them, and then they take one of the topics to other people, and then you share it, and then you had like talking opportunities, so you can do your thinking, you can do your refinement, you can get feedback. But when you come to the point that everyone should listen, you've already done the thinking, so you can say it in 30 seconds or 10 seconds instead of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you have 40 people instead of 40 insights, you have perhaps 10, but it can also be that some of them are similar. So you can like pick one at random and that presents, and then another one who has a different idea until most ideas are represented. And it goes really quick. And there's like, I think it's 33 of those in Liberating Structures, and they're freely available. Anyone can use them. There's a book that you can read. I haven't yet, but I plan to. And I think this is awesome for all situations when you want to get as much information out of people as possible and get better decisions, getting everyone to participate. My partner does research on machine learning. I know that I don't know machine learning. I tried, but the only thing I did was working with software quality instead, because that was also needed at that company. But anyway, my partner does his PhD on machine learning, and when I talk about things like this, he brings up when you have a bunch of quite lousy algorithms that you use the power numbers on. So they don't really have to be good individually, but there's so many that as long as they're not like dependent on each other somehow, they get a pretty good result anyway.
Yep.
And I think liberating structures can be used to use people that way.
Yep.
And I think it's cool.
Yep.
So yeah, there are structured ways to get the best out of a group of people, regardless of their personalities or neural configurations, or if they want to, if they're interested, if you give them an opportunity. I get a lot of inspiration from trying to be a parent and reading a lot of parenting books and blogs and ideas. And one of the most valuable things have been to think that if people can do good, they will. Because we want to be successful, we want to be connected, we want to fit in.
Yeah.
So if something isn't working, if someone isn't behaving the way that would be beneficial for the group or for the project, we need to figure out why. Because in most cases, I think that we can find a solution where we enable people to behave the way we want to. And that will make them feel better as well. So, yeah. But then there might be people who don't want to collaborate. But that would take us down the attachment style rabbit hole. And I don't think that's another podcast in that case. People who don't want to be connected to other because of their attachment style. But I've just started to read into those things. So no, but yeah. Right now, my approach is that people want to collaborate and be productive as a team, and if that doesn't happen, we can use logic, the same kind of logic that we use when developing software, to figure out why. I know that you've heard of theory of constraints, right?
Yep.
Have you heard of, and you have heard of nonviolent communication, right?
Yep.
Have I talked to you about that they're almost the same partly?
Can't remember. Maybe the audience would like to hear about it.
Yeah. So, Theory of Constraints is Goldratt. The Goal, a great book. Theory of Constraints is like a group of thinking tools.
Yep.
And nonviolent communication, I've forgotten the name, but yeah, it's a way to communicate to lower the risk of conflict. So one of the things that they have in common is that you should never compromise, because a compromise assumes that there are no win-win solutions. You should always aim for a win-win solution.
Yeah.
And it's about finding the actual problem in both of them. In Theory of Constraints, you build a current reality tree with these are the prerequisites, this is our reality now, this won't work because of this and this and this. And then you do it like ifs and thens.
Yep.
Like a software, but on a paper. And then you try to find one assumption that you can explore if it's actually true. What would happen if this changed? Would it solve our problem? And then you see, okay, but if we change this, what new problems will we create? And then you can like solve problems with a logical tree. In nonviolent communication, you look at a conflict or a possible conflict from a needs perspective, and often we are really bad at expressing our actual needs. So it could be, I wish, if I'm angry because someone picked on my formatting in a pull request.
Yeah.
That's a very realistic scenario.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If someone picks on my formatting, I will be super annoyed because that should be the problem of a linter and not of me. But if it happens, it's not the formatting thing that's the issue. It's because when someone picks on my formatting, I feel that they don't see the thinking that I put into the actual code that's solving the problem. So I'm feeling neglected and undervalued and not seen, and it kicks in a lot of insecurities because we all have our baggage.
Yep.
Trauma aware management is also a really cool topic that is like bubbling up. Yeah. Anyway, so if I just get angry because someone points out linting, that won't solve the problem. But if we can see that my actual need is to have someone else to think together with, because that's what a pull request should be, right?
Yep.
I have my thoughts in the code, and I need them to bounce off someone else's thinking. Then perhaps I would be better off pair programming.
Yeah. Or don't ask that person again. That gave you like pointless criticism.
But some people get really, really annoyed by badly formatting code. And I get that. So perhaps what we need to do is add a linter so that I can't push code. A pre-push hook that lints my code with fix so that no one has to see that I can't format code properly. And then pair programming. And then with automatic linting in my IDE as well, so that when I type, it gets formatted. So my pair buddy will never have to see badly formatted code, and I get someone to collaborate with.
Yep.
If it found some way to compromise there, it would have been a much worse solution. And what's something that is true for both theorem constraints and nonviolent communication is that we will have to be objective, because as soon as we add subjectiveness to it, we will hide the actual truth, like the things that are part of this logic will be hidden. And I think that one part that is tricky, if you're not used to thinking about emotion, is that I am angry is objective. You make me angry is subjective.
Yeah.
So when this happens, I get angry. That's objective. So, but if I disconnect it to another person, we can have a conversation about it. And also, this machine is too slow is subjective. If you get to the theory constraints factory thing. But this machine can produce 1 item per second. That's objective. So both of them have this aspect. And I think that a lot of people are like in the software industry have a hard time with soft skills because they don't see that it's actually the same things that we do. It's you can you can understand it.
Yeah.
And untangle it. Casey Watts has written an awesome book called Debugging Your Brains. I will allow myself that kind of commercial here.
Yeah, of course. That's book recommendations. That's not commercial. That's just information.
Yeah, where he explains cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yep.
With computer science terms. To make it less scary and super useful. But I interrupted you.
No, I was just one thing is bothering me is that there have always been brilliant minds in that have said that if we work like this it will be better, or we work like that it will improve, and so on and so forth. And but still, it's really hard to reach out with new ways of working or new ways of collaboration, or and so on and so on. And so, is there any easy way to to start up with a change of that magnitude what you're talking about, because going the full length is, I mean, not everybody is prepared to do that. I mean, what could you do is super easy to do but has a good effect regarding collaboration or teamwork or
that will depend on what's your biggest problem. So what
inefficiency maybe?
Yeah, but that each team is inefficient in its own way. All teams are efficient. No, I'm trying to paraphrase some Russian author that I can't remember. But no, at least if you listen to Forrest Graham and Accelerate, you need to figure out what's your bottleneck. What's this team? So I would say that the first thing you need to do is a really good retrospective with the team, figuring out what hurts the most that we can fix the easiest.
All right. So the first question is that what is a retrospective?
Yeah, it's.
So you need to start at the fairly bottom. So what's the first step of first steps?
You remember we talked about how it can be hard to get information out of a group when you just let them talk.
Yeah.
And that there are methods to get this done easier.
Yeah.
There's an awesome book, again, called Agile Retrospectives, Making Good Teams Great, by Derby and...
EsterDaniel?
Yeah, and Porter, right? Diana...
Larsen?
Yeah, Diana Larsen, yeah. Sorry, Diana. So Derby and Larsen. It's awesome. And they describe, perhaps it's universally known, but they have a retrospective model that is like 5 phases. So you start by setting the stage. Then you...
What is setting the stage?
You make everyone feel comfortable and make sure that they focused on what you're doing there.
Right.
So no thinking of the bugs you just left in your code or what you're going to have for lunch.
Okay.
You have to be in the now. And then you're gathering data.
Yep.
So you have a problem, you need to have a lot of data to work with. And then there's...
data, you mean information?
It can be things on a post-it, it can be a timeline. For each of these 5 steps, you have exercises, like the Liberating Structures ones. But there are also a lot of really good examples in the book that you can mix and match depending on how long time you have and what kind of retrospective it is. So you gather a lot of data, you generate insights, because having data and understanding data is 2 different things.
Yep.
And then you decide what to do. And I usually advise teams to only pick one thing. And it can be some kind of experiment.
Yep.
Like, we want to try to pair program for 1 hour every day.
Right. So
until next retrospective.
Okay.
So something like that.
And you recommend teams to do that on a regular basis?
Yes, at least once per sprint, if you do sprints.
Yep.
Or in some other cadence that feels right. And then for bigger things like starting a journey of change or ending a big project or something else that happens.
I heard of a company that had a sprint that last for 1 year. So.
And you can also have a really tiny retrospective after each ensemble session.
Yep.
So 2 hours, 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then you would perhaps not go through all the 5 stages, but anyway. And then when you've decided what to do, you close the retrospective. And that often includes mini retrospective, where you retrospect on the retrospective to make it better the next time. Because it's all about improvement.
All right. So you could do that in a team and you could do it also by yourself, or?
Yes. But often when we talk about retrospectives in the IT industry, we talk about it in the group, but it's also people who use it for like individual growth. So it's like the agile arena for actual figuring out how to get better. So I would start with that. And then if we go back to theory of constraint, one part from theory of constraint is that if you have a technical advantage or your technology advances, so something improves, to be able to benefit from that improvement, you will have to remove the things you did to compensate for not having that capacity before. Because if you install a dishwasher but still do all your dishes by hand, you won't be benefited from a dishwasher. Or if you...
Nice furniture? No, not really. Okay.
No. It can even be worse because the detergent in the dishwasher actually needs dirt to work. So if you run the dishwasher with clean dishes in, it will only wear the dishes down. I've learned on YouTube. I got recommended a YouTube video on how to load your dishwasher. And it was really useful. And I was like, how did YouTube know that I can't load a dishwasher properly? Anyway, so, and in the software industry, I like to add a third step. So you get the improvement. You get rid of the things that you used to do before you had the improvement. And then you have to learn how to use the new things. Like, we used to have version control that was a pain to work with. So it was just basically a way to keep track of versions. It wasn't a collaboration tool. Then we got tools that you could actually collaborate with, but we still had those long-lived branches. Because if you want to do trunk-based development, you need to learn how to split up your work in so small sections that it makes sense to merge them to trunk, and how to do feature toggle and other ways to hide functionality before it's ready. So that's a skill. So we had lousy version control systems compared to now. We get good version control system, but we have to stop using long-lived branches and code freeze and stuff. And to be able to be comfortably doing that, firstly, we have to realize that we don't have to anymore, because we have technology that supports a better way of working. And then we need to learn the skills that enable us to benefit from this. And it's really scary to do things that you're not good at. I worked a lot with this. I've done a lot of stuff that I'm not good at for a very long time, and it makes it less scary. But I think, especially in this industry where so many people are used to being so good at things, it's really hard to be a beginner. I used to say that software developers are born, not hatched. Chickens are hatched. So
I haven't seen any hatched developer. So.
No, because when you start as a software developer, you don't really know how to write code when you come out of university. You have to be in software projects to realize what it is when you do it en masse, full scale. It's see what happened with code over time. But it's easy to forget how it was not to know. So then when
Just for the record, you've been studied at university, and you have been programming in university at some degree in a way. So just for the record, that you don't have, you have the experience.
Yes. I have a Master of Science in Engineering Physics, but with software development as my major. So
you're talking about your by experience. So I just
And
Yeah.
I did pretty good in the software courses. It was the maths and the physics
Yeah.
that was.
And still it
was a bit hard.
wasn't.
No, it's like
It was not good enough anyway for to be a professional developer.
no, you. It's other things that you need, and but it's easy to forget when you've learned all that stuff
Yeah.
how it was then, and then if you need to relearn something, if you forget that you didn't know all these things when you were hatched, then it can be scary, and it can also make it hard in interaction with other junior software developers, I think. Really good at abbreviations of different kinds and words that software is like invented. Someone decided how it should be.
Yep.
In some sense, we can decipher it, but not everything can be deduced. Something has to be learned or looked up. And people have learned a lot of this by heart. Sometimes I think they tend to forget that you're not born with that knowledge. That they weren't either. They had to learn it somehow, sometime. Perhaps like they've learned it over decades, following all the version of this programming language.
Yeah.
That at some point they learned it.
Yeah.
And then having to relearn all those stuff is hard. And I think especially if you talk down on people who don't know them.
Yeah. So my concern is here a little bit that, I mean, you're thinking a lot, you have loads of experience, and you have tried to improve yourself and the teams you've been working with for years and years and years now. And so what would you like to do now? I mean, what are you doing? And I mean, I know you're, I mean, I know some parts, but I would like you to tell people that what your ambitions right now and what's the hard part. So
I got recommended that to live a happy life, you need to pick a really good problem to be obsessed with, because we are programmed to have problems. And if you don't have any real problems, you will invent problems, because those industrial world problems, for example. So one way to be happy is to find a problem that makes sense and that will never go away.
Right, like, oh my god, my wine glass is almost empty.
Yeah, that's not a good problem.
All right,
No.
yeah, I can solve it, so, yeah. Okay.
But that the IT industry has capacity of improvement, and that the life of a software developer could in general be much better, that's a good problem, I think. Because we have Accelerate and the DORA Developers Report that shows that the good teams are improving, and a big part of the industry is falling behind. And all of those companies, even if I just come and have retrospective with them, to make them find that first thing that they need to change and hold their hand while they've changed that, there's like so much life improvement and company revenue improvement to be done by all of these tiny changes. So that's what I want to do. I want to fix the IT industry, both for the company's sake and for the individual's sake. And I don't think I have the solution, because...
You're working on it?
No. But I try to always find one small thing that I can fix from where I am right now. And I think agile, one step at a time in the right direction, will take us there.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to do. I want to help teams And I think that you learn best in the environment where you're supposed to use the knowledge.
Yeah.
So I prefer working in the team with them. There's a methodology called Samman Technical Coaching by Emily Beach that I use, where you mix teaching and exercises, like katas and stuff,
Yeah.
with ensemble programming in the production code.
Right.
Together.
Do companies or teams understand that they have a problem, or are they just running on deadlines? No, we don't have time for this. We have a deadline. We have to do this now. So, or do they understand that they actually have a problem?
I think it's different between teams.
Yeah.
So I hope that more and more will understand that they have a problem, because the cruder judgments of what will happen with Accelerate and DevOps when some companies get further and further ahead is that those fallback will have to disappear, because it won't be sustainable anymore. And the sad part is there's a correlation between profitability and the health of the developers. So the same things that make a company do well is also the same practices that make a healthy work environment for the developers. So in two ways, if you don't find this way to improve, as an employee, it might not end very well, and as a company also not. So I really hope that companies see that they have to take care both of their employees and of their business, and the solution is the same. And it's about the speed. Yeah.
I think that was a brilliant ending on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, EsterDaniel. Mm-hmm. EsterDaniel, but that's in Swedish. EsterDaniel is in English. So. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
See you next time. Cheers.
Yeah.
Ding.